let me say in 2020, I decided to spend all my money on making a short film in the middle of lockdown, and my wife was pregnant.
Oh, wow.
I ended up being broke. My car engine knocked during the production. Looking back now, and my wife was very patient because I don't know if I would be able to handle that myself. As a newlywed, spent so much money, the crew was close to 50. In my mind, that kind of like, okay, maybe it's not so bad at the end of the day. Now that I look at it again in hindsight, maybe I shouldn't have done that.
Yeah.
Maybe I should have been more patient.
Hello, everyone, and welcome to the first ever episode of Voices by VEEU. And what better way to start it with to hear someone's voice that is in the industry from Nigeria and also here in the UK. Someone that is personal to me, and is someone that I consider a mentor also. And yeah, I'll let him introduce himself, but at the same time, I really want to give you some stats. So yeah, he's a filmmaker. He's a Nigerian filmmaker, currently based in the UK since 2022, and now he's in Wolverhampton. He has a master's in film and creative writing. Yeah. And he did his bachelor's degree in civil engineering, some weird combination. And yeah, he founded Ray House Studio and in Lagos in 2012, and Ray House Academy, where in 2017, and he has been able to mentor and teach young filmmakers in Nigeria, like over 200 plus young filmmakers in Nigeria. I'm not sure if, but I mean, he won Best Nigerian Short Film at Echo International Film Festival in 2022. And his latest work, currently in Wolverhampton, is Heirloom. It's a web series about, a Nigerian immigrant of high moral standing and who joins a relic smuggling ring to make rent, basically, to get out of trouble. I mean, we'll still dive deep into that. And yeah, let's welcome Mr. Toyosi Ige. Hi.
One funny fact is this: the fact that you mentioned the exact location where I founded Real Studios, because I usually don't put it out there that it was founded in Lagos. So yes.
So I mean, let's even start by how you look. I really love your attire. Is this like your everyday brand?
Not necessarily my everyday brand. I represent where I come from. I'm Yoruba, but I grew up with a mixture of tribes. The same way I'm based in the UK and I mix with different people from different nationalities every day. So I like to take a bit from my background and a bit from where I am at the moment. So this just represents my present state. So this is Yoruba with some beads, and also I'm just representing my Yoruba background today. Yes.
Okay, cool. I mean, I really love your outfit. I mean, it's part of something that I feel like is your identity when you're not afraid per se to say where you're from or to talk about stories that really resonate on. I mean, I know some filmmakers coming from Nigeria to the UK trying to blend with, the Western world and pretty much forgetting about home. I do not sense that from you. I mean, you have that perfect blend between making it quite cultural and at the same time, telling good stories, if that makes sense.
Yes. It's a part of who I am as well, and it's also another reason why I make films. I think it's because growing up, I was inspired by films like that. Films like Sauride by Tunde Kelani. Films like Diamond Ring by Tade Ogidon. Such films like October 1 by Kunle Afolayan, such films inspired me, and I found them unique, and I could connect to the stories because they kind of relate more to where I come from. And then because of also my background, I grew up in Ilorin, was born, raised in Ilorin. and I was able to mix with people from the north, people from the south, people from the east. And I noticed that even though I'm Yoruba, I don't have a narrow worldview. My worldview is quite wide, and I try to express that through my stories. So my stories reflect my perspective of the world. The way I see the world is the way I tell my stories. So I love to have languages in my story, different languages, not just the English language, different languages in my stories. I love to have to showcase different cultures because I feel the world is large. Nigeria in itself is large. Culturally, it is large, and I feel it is still there's still so many worlds we've not experienced, and I try to do that with my stories, with my films.
Okay. There's a particular thing that happened in, I mean, especially Nigerian filmmakers and all. We study something and we do filmmaking. You know, some people like study commerce, you know, accounting, and filmmakers, lawyers being filmmakers. And
Yes.
I mean, we have that in the industry currently, like a lot of lawyers that is what they studied. I mean, that is who they are, but they are also in like actors and all. You studied civil engineering. Did you stumble into filmmaking, or you already knew that you were going to be a filmmaker before during civil engineering?
That's quite an interesting question because um, I wouldn't say I stumbled into filmmaking. I think all along, life has been preparing me to become a filmmaker. I've always been a storyteller. In primary school, I was part of the French club where we sing in French, perform some drama in French. And then in secondary school, that was where I was actually formed, more or less. I was part of the drama club for 6 years, became president, was a three-peat champion, state champion in drama and arts in the school. And then by the time I left secondary school and was in the university, I was part of a dance crew. And then that was where I forged my writing ability. I started writing, I started creating librettos. And then I would go to the performing arts theater to watch them perform, learn from them, and then added that knowledge to what I already had from secondary school. But I didn't know where I was going to end up eventually, but I knew I was going to be in the arts. So by the time I got to year 4 in the university, I knew, yes, film was going to be the final medium. So that was why after university, after my service year, I went to film school in Lagos.
And I mean, again, from Nigeria, we know that your parents want you to do something, you're doing something else. Did you encounter any challenges from that?
Yes, because I mean, I was the best performing student in my sets in secondary school, and then in university I wasn't doing too badly, but I knew I was not going to end up as an engineer. Even though I was passing, I was doing well, so to say, but I just knew. I can't explain, but you just know that you're not supposed to be here. You just know. And when I was doing my SciWest in 2008, yes, I was in Abuja. I just sat there on the sites and I just thought to myself, nah, this is not my future. This is not my future. And that was when I became more, I became bolder about my aspirations with regards to filmmaking. And that was when I spoke to my dad, and then I told God, I said, God, you know, my dad has always wanted me to be an engineer, and I don't think he would want me ordinarily to go into filmmaking, but I will speak with him, and if it is your will, then let him allow me. And I spoke with him, and then he was like, okay, I've been watching you. You don't look like you want to actually be an engineer because you've been dancing, you've been doing this, you're doing every other thing, and then you've been doing well in school, fine. But I've seen that you have also had your hands in different places. So, and they asked me for my plan, and that was when I told him, okay, I want to go to film school. And the following day, I was in Lagos to get a form at PEFT. So, yes, my dad supported me. My mom took a bit longer because she was used to being called mommy engineer, and then but over time, she just resigned to fate that this one is gone. This one wants to be a filmmaker because she saw what I was doing, and then, like I said, in the dance crew, we are doing stuff already. I mean, at 19, I was part of the team that organized one of the biggest concerts in Ilorin at the time. And then in 2010, we had a concert with over 5,000 people. I was 20, what now? Early 20s. So I was already doing stuff. So by the time I now ventured into filmmaking, I was actually daring as well. So they knew this boy really means business. So they just allowed me.
That I mean that I think everyone, I mean, for me also, like, growing up, falling in love with photography, stealing my dad's camera when I was in the secondary school to just take pictures in school, and they found out about it and they was really angry about
Imagine.
it. And eventually, going from there to working on one of the biggest
Yeah.
reality shows in Nigeria. And I had that opportunity to invite my dad over to the
The
show,
show.
the
Wow.
flagship and all those kind
Wow.
of thing. And I remember one day we just sat down. I think the show just ended, like a Sunday live show. We just sat down together outside, and he was thinking, and we just connected. There was a way that we just connected, and we knew that. Oh, he was thinking about that time. He said, "If I ever see your hand or my camera again," and he looked at me and he was like, "Oh, it takes something very big for an African parent to apologize to their
Yes. Yes, it
to their
does.
children." And also, yeah, it was like that. And since then, whatever I want to do, I want to make a film, I want to do this, it will always support that. I mean, when I decided to come to the UK too, it was in full support that, okay, that was the first time I would necessarily make a life altering decision
Decision.
by
Yes.
myself. So yeah, I totally understand that. Now you came to the UK in 2022, after mentoring a lot of people back in Nigeria, teaching them how to be a filmmaker. Is there a particular trait or characteristics that you had to unlearn when you got to the UK? And also, it's like a two-in-one question. Is there like another, maybe a characteristics that puts you over the edge?
That's a very good question, because with each passing day, I keep on learning and learning in this system. The deeper I go into the system, the more I've had to unlearn, the more I've had to learn. Because bear in mind that in Nigeria, I was not in Lagos. I was not based in Lagos. So, and in Nigeria, Lagos is like the abroad. In Nigeria, Lagos is like the ultimate, especially
Yeah.
if you are into creative art and whatnot,
Yeah, entertainment.
entertainment. And I had to now move to the UK from Ilorin. Yes, I'd worked for the biggest TV station in Nigeria, a private TV station, and I've done all that. But coming here was like putting myself in the deep end, socially, psychologically, in every other area. But one thing that I found out here is they are very detailed. Looking into the detail, it's so basic here. It's not a big deal. But so I've had to learn that, like, no matter how, you don't have to start building from the top. Start building with details from the base. That's one thing I've learned here. If I go to write a story now, make a story about something, understand it. When you have a good understanding of what you're about to do, every little detail, once you understand it, it becomes easier to build.
Yeah.
Secondly, networking. Contrary to what people think about me, I'm actually a very shy person. Before I become free, it takes time for me to come out and speak. But when I start to speak, then I'm everywhere speaking. But I take my time before connecting with people. But over here, I've had to learn how to connect, because if you don't do it, you're going to suffer. So I've learned to connect with people, and because of the line of work that I'm in, it has helped me so far. That now I can connect with people anywhere. I can talk about my work. Yes, which is another thing that I learned here as well. Back home, the way we define humility is when somebody says you are good, you say, "Oh, no, I just try." You try to
Yeah.
downplay your own ability. And I had an encounter with somebody. I was working the bar. This guy comes to me and then he asks for what I do. I said, I'm a filmmaker. I was in my master's then. And then he said, "Oh, how good are you?" And I was like, "Oh, I try." And he said, "No, wrong answer. You tell me how good you are, because you are sounding as if you're not even sure
About
that
yourself.
about
Yeah.
yourself. That you tell me, because you don't do that here. You say exactly what you can do. It's not humility. It is naivety to be saying, 'Oh, try.'" That hit me, because I've always believed, "Oh, downplay it." So I've had to learn to now put myself out. Like, no, if I'm good at something, I am actually good at it. At least I have the work to back it up,
Yeah.
And then the edge I have is my open-mindedness right from time. I am open to learning new things. I'm open to new adventures, new ventures, open to that art. It has given me an edge because I can come across as liberal. At that time, I could come across as conservative. So if I'm, for instance, in a faith-based setting, I can tag along. And then if I'm in a different kind of setting, I can flow.
But Mike, the thing is, because I know you,
Yes.
and I mean, you're quite spiritual,
Yes.
and I mean, you take Christianity serious and all this
Yes.
kind of thing. But at the same time, you're quite free with the world. How do you do that? How do you balance? I mean, sometimes I see you break dancing, doing all those kind of
Yes,
thing,
yes.
and I just find it weird that someone that looks like a pastor, you know, making films, doing all those kind of thing, and like,
Yes.
do people look at you and be like, oh, he's not so serious with his spirituality, his spiritual life, you know, all this kind of thing that you get from.
Yeah, that used to bother me, but not anymore anyway. I've learned one thing. My life is my life. I have only one life. I've also learned one thing along the line. What we call spirituality most times, it's not even spirituality. It's just religion. And the religion that we carry on our heads more often than not is man-made. Somebody created something and then we're following it. But I have read the Bible. I have a relationship with God. I grew up as not somebody that was forced to go to church. So it was my decision to go to church and stay in church. Whatever I have done with regards to my spiritual life has been my decision. So it's not as if I was forced into it. So the way I see it is from a very objective perspective. What does God require from me? Why are we here in the first place? Am I here to just live a particular life and die? Or am I here to live life to the fullest and die empty? So if you have that understanding, you now look at yourself. Where are you operating? You cannot expect to operate in the film world and act in a particular way if you really want to work with people. Unless you want to work with people that only think the way you think, then that's fine. But if you know that some people will not agree with your way of thinking, your beliefs, some people don't agree with it. If you live in a place like the UK, you must be open-minded in order to make headway. That's the truth. You have to be open-minded. Live and let live. It doesn't mean I agree with everything everybody does. It doesn't mean everybody has to agree with what I do. You get what I'm saying? But I allow people be who they are because I feel that, or I know that most people will give their best when you allow them be who they are.
Yeah.
I don't want you walking on eggshells around me just because you feel I am, in quotes, a pastor.
Yeah.
I am not a pastor. I've never been. Okay, yes, I did some NCCF rugged work. Yes, I have. I was teens fellowship president. I was single fellowship president in church. Yes, I have done all that, and I'm still very spiritual. But I am not a pastor. I am just Toyosi. This is the problem. People see you, and then they start giving you some particular appellations that you didn't give yourself. I didn't tell you I was a pastor, for instance. But then, if you not say I'm a pastor, I didn't say I was a pastor. So there was a day we were filming, I was dancing. I was like, so you dance? I danced for 10 years of my life. So people who knew me back then in Ilorin will tell you that this guy dances, he can dance. But because of my physical appearance, some people say I look like a professor. I don't blame them because of my bald head.
Yeah.
I don't blame them. But this is the truth. I am me. I am different things to different people. I have different sides to me. I see myself as being multidimensional. So if I'm in a particular setting, I act that way. So I don't start to crack some jokes or start dancing in a particular way when I'm in a very conservative setting. I just tag along. And then when I'm in a very free space, I also do my thing. So if I'm shooting in a convent, there's a way I will carry myself. If I'm filming in a nightclub, there's a way I will carry myself. You get? So I'm a very flexible person, but at the same time, I wouldn't say I am everything to everybody, but I am different things to different people. Yeah.
Okay. Well, I mean, let's now let's take it up a notch. I think let's talk about brand. I think branding is important, but I feel like you are a type of person that has like a controversial opinion about branding when it comes to branding yourself as a filmmaker or as a creative or an artist in general. I just want as an artist, you know, branding itself, is it that important? And if you can take us through your own journey, you know, you had a brand in Nigeria. Coming here, you didn't necessarily put it on your head. You've done a lot of work. You get what I mean?
Yeah.
You've really done a lot of work here in the UK. And most people back home will think, oh, Toyosi Ige, this is, and we know what you have done. And there are some things you have done that I don't think I would have done based on the fact that you have to be a certain way. How do you do that? And not necessarily allowing it to weigh you down.
Okay.
Because, yeah, all those kind of things.
I think, you know what they say, there's popular saying that the UK is a leveler. I think it stems from the fact that when I arrived newly, my first job was in the warehouse. That broke me. That removed every atom of branding I brought along from Nigeria. In that sense, it made me realize that, boy, this is a new society. Nobody knows you. Nobody cares about that here.
But the thing is, you had to take that job.
Yes.
Why?
Because I was new in the country, and that was the first thing that was thrown at me, and I needed to start working. So I took it up, didn't know much about it, and on the job, okay, I was like, okay. And then it's not as if I didn't try to work on the brand and try to do something, but I found that, oh, no, this is a very different system. Teams work differently here. And I had to now start learning new things. Remember I said I was coming from Ilorin, not from Lagos.
Yeah.
Because one thing that people in Lagos have over other places in Nigeria is that they are more exposed, they have better exposure. And when they are that exposed, they know how to do some certain things that people like us that came from other places may not know how to do. So I didn't know some things. So I felt, okay, let me start from scratch and start to build up and build up and build up. And then over time, I started making more friends, started getting more connections that opened my eyes to what I could become and what I could do. So maybe I needed to go back down to come back up. I think I needed that. Yes, I've done something that maybe I'm not proud of, but I think I'm proud of my journey at the end of the day, because now I'm in a much better place. Probably if I allowed my ego to influence my decisions, maybe I would not be here speaking with you now. Maybe I wouldn't have been able to make Heirloom. But because I took that deep dive to go back down, and now I am coming back up. Now I'm finding my feet. So yes, back to the issue of branding. When I came here, I came with a particular thought in mind. But over time, I've had to rebrand more or less in the way I carry myself, in the way I speak, in the way I appear, in the way I even make my own projects as well.
Yeah.
Back home, for instance, you could afford to wear slippers on set. Nobody cares. But here, people look at you. So if they don't know you, they look at you, because in Nigeria, I was working with people that knew me.
Yeah.
So whether I wore rags or not, they knew me. So they would give that respect, that regard. But here, the first thing they see is how you are dressed, how you look, how you speak, before they even know whether you are a good filmmaker or a rubbish filmmaker. So as long as, for example, now you speak good English, nobody cares whether you are a rubbish filmmaker. As long as you speak good English, you speak well, you carry yourself well, you have a baritone, have whatever.
Yeah.
People tend to like fall in line. But I've learned to look at myself, look at my strengths. I don't have 6 packs. I'm not 6'6". You get, I don't have a baritone. I mean, I speak fast. So all those things, that means I can't be like some other people. And then I look at people that I actually admire, filmmakers I admire, Edgar Wright, Quentin Tarantino, Steven Spielberg. They are also like me in that sense. They're not your 6 foot plus kind of guys. They're just film people, film geeks, film purists. So I am like that as well. So I'm now focusing on branding myself around who I am as a person, so that I don't have to be one person as a brand and a different person as Toyosi.
Yeah.
So what you see is what you get in that case.
That's very good. Now let's talk about film.
Okay.
Let's talk about film.
Yes.
And I mean, this whole project is called Voices because we actually want to hear your voice, like know your opinion on certain things and, things that people don't necessarily know. I mean, we talk about Heirloom, you talk about, you as a filmmaker generally and all, and your opinion on things. I mean, there's one thing you've not necessarily mentioned, which I feel like you still touch on, and that's you being quote unquote a scholar. You love reading a lot. You love historical writings and all those kind of things a lot. Yeah. So
there's, with regards to our performances, Nigerians, as a people, we are very expressive people. Even in academic papers refer to Nigerian performances as being overly exaggerated and melodramatic, which is true. But at the same time, there's a marriage that we can have between what exists in the real world and what goes on in film. So many times I feel that sometimes we express ourselves as if we are on stage. Stage allows you to do all that and then be expressive or not. But then if it's film, tone it down, because let the camera do the work, and with you. You are now interacting with the camera. The camera will not stand for the audience. But I feel that we don't tap into that enough. So sometimes when I watch our films, including for my own film as well, it now feels as if we are watching a stage performance and not a movie. Because if there's too much movement, it doesn't allow the filmmaker and the cinematographer to do enough movements. So we rely so much on the performance of the actor, and the camera is just there on one spot, which I feel can be better.
Brilliant. I mean, now that we are talking about your film, let's talk about Heirloom.
Yes.
Why?
Why Heirloom?
Why Heirloom? Like, I mean, I have a follow-up question to that, but I just want to know, like, I mean, if you could have done anything, I would have thought you would do something more in line or in tune with faith-based. And here we are talking about Benin. Here we are talking about, and you are not even from Benin. You are a Ilorin boy. So, like, sometimes I just wonder why would you do that? Why would you tell a story that you don't necessarily have experienced?
Yes. It's funny because, earlier I mentioned something about loving allegories and metaphors. So the story is a metaphor for different things. Number one, I had thought about making a short web series as far back as 2023, maybe 1 minute just work with actors, make very short clips and all. I didn't do it, and then I made a short film in 2024 titled Fading Echoes, and in it, I introduced the use of the bead while directing it. And then as we were filming, as I was watching Destiny performing, in my mind, what if this bead could mean something deeper? What if I could do something with this bead? And then that was the beginning of what has become Heirloom today. And then in my mind, I was thinking, what culture, because I wanted a particular culture in Nigeria, what culture would carry this bead that would give it more significance? And I thought to myself, Yoruba, no. Igbo, But I said, the Benin Kingdom. Why the Benin Kingdom? There's a well-documented incident that happened in 1897 when the British colonialists invaded and rampaged and took so many things from the Benin Empire in 1897. So that's, I was like, okay, good. So that means there's something there I could work with. And then I thought, Destiny is from Benin. Good. So it would be easier for him to speak the language, the dialect. Okay, good. So I now did my research on the Benin Kingdom, or some interesting stories from the Benin Kingdom, because thank God the Benin Kingdom, they have a way of preserving history and their stories. So it was easier to get stories from them. And I was like, good. So I now decided, okay, what other culture can I marry this with? I thought to myself, Windrush happened in 1940s. Oh, good. After the Second World War. Good. Oh, Caribbean. Jamaica. Okay. What if I marry Nigerian culture with Jamaican culture? After all, it's said that half of Jamaicans have Nigerian DNA in them because their ancestors moved from West Africa to where it's, good. So let us marry all that together. And because I'm also a student of history, my dad is a historian. So I grew up reading books about the slave trade era, about colonialism, about how countries came to be and everything. So I read those books when I was younger. So I just went back to some of those books and then did more research and just wanted to marry everything I knew and everything that I was inspired by into what became Heirloom. So by the time I started writing, I didn't know where the story was going. That is why, if you notice, there's a bit of romance, there's a bit of history, there's a bit of this and this. I didn't know where the story was going. I just went with the flow. So yes, Heirloom may not necessarily be a faith-based film, but it was inspired by God. It was inspired by my spirituality as well, because if you notice, there's a bit of a bit about the spirituality, divinity, and humanity mixed together. There's a bit about it in it. So it is a story that I got inspired by, and I decided not to dilute it. Let it stay as it is. And also, it also reflects the immigrant experience, especially if you're an immigrant from Nigeria, from Africa. So I want to say so many things, but make it concise. I just wrapped everything up and made it a web series. Even though it was written as a feature film, but I said, let me just make it as a web series first. And then now I've seen the impact. Now I'm encouraged to go further in the story and develop it further into a new season.
I mean, you've actually said it, because it's something that I looked at and I was wondering why do that, especially when you're not from Benin and all. But I think you associated yourself with people that are originally from there,
Yes.
which allows you to tell that story better and also tell it in its truest form.
Yeah.
I mean, let's talk about Edward. Edward, we know the journey. He's a moral man.
Yes.
And he joined the whole smuggling ring to pretty much make ends meet.
Yeah.
In all honesty, how is that? I mean, is that like your autobiography? Is it related to you? In all honesty,
No. The only bits, maybe just one or two bits, have a connection with me. Edward is a standalone character, is completely fictional, but I would also call him a composite character, because there are so many stories about different people I've heard from, I've seen, all into one person. Like the story, the bit between himself and Mira, I met a real person who experienced that and who was just telling the story, and I just heard this and I said, oh, good, this is good. The old story about owing money in Nigeria and trying to pay the money and pay back. I think that is a very common experience for many immigrants that come to study. It's a very common thing where you have a loan and then you are trying to make ends meet just to pay back the loan. Yeah, I borrowed that, and then being somebody who is a moral man, and then you are now to make a decision that might actually rob you of your moral standing. That is also something that everybody comes across once in a while, because I feel that when you are somebody that has a lot of faith, there will come a time when your faith will be tested. You have a crisis, and at that point, you are at a threshold, at crossroads. Your faith becomes stronger, or you completely lose your faith. You get? So I feel everybody has to go through that. I've had that phase in my life where I began to ask myself, all the things I believed in when I was younger, are they even true? And that's the point where I started to start living for me. I owe no man an explanation except God and my wife. Because I noticed that so many times we live based on what somebody else is saying. For instance, if a particular leader in your religion says you should not go to school, and because of that you don't go to school, and then after 30 years, the man makes a U-turn and says, oh, now you can go to school, but you spent 30 years not going to school because that man said you should not go to school.
Yeah.
You get? But if you have your own revelation, let me dive a bit into the Bible now. At the time when Jesus was on the cross and he was crucified, what happened afterwards? There was thunder and then the veil, the curtain at the temple tore into two. So that means that now we have access to God. We don't have to go through any man anymore. We have access to God. That's why you can stay in your room and pray. You don't have to call the priest or call your dad before you can pray, because now you have access to God. God says in Isaiah 1:18, come, let us reason together. So that means that you have that access to God. That means that you should know what you should not do. You should know what you should do. And you should also know that for everything you do, you should be able to face the consequences, whether good or bad. It's not by not wearing earring or not wearing trousers, because I know some people that don't wear trousers in Nigeria, or ladies, they come to the UK, winter blows more like this and they wear trousers. Does that mean the God in Nigeria is not the God in the UK?
Yeah.
You get, they say, it's not about not wearing tattoos, not wearing earrings. I don't wear earrings, I don't wear tattoos, but I don't also condemn it. It's just me not liking them.
Okay.
And then if you grow up in a conservative environment, there's a way you think. If you grow up in a very liberal environment, there's also a way you think as well. Nobody is better off than the other person. But my own issue is, what are you making with of your life. That's the most important thing for me. So that also reflects in how I tell my stories and what stories I tell. So tomorrow night I could make a purely faith-based project, and I'll make it faith. So I will never make a faith-based project and then try to dilute it with what is not supposed to be so. If I'm making a real story, let me make it real so that that person out there can connect. My philosophy is telling real stories about real people. So even though they are fictional, somebody out there should be able to connect and catch. Yeah, I understand now. No funny business. If I'm talking about a prostitute. Funny story. When I wrote the BDSM scene in Heirloom, I was so afraid I had to call my wife. I said, babe, see what I write to. And then I was thinking she would say, no, tone it down. No, she said what? She said, no, this thing's not well written. Why are you hiding? Write it properly. So even though what I wrote was not exactly what she wanted to write, I was still able to make it better because she told me, no, if you want to tell the story, then tell the story. If you can't tell the story, well, then just leave it. Don't tell the story. You get that's because my art is independent of any other belief. That is why creatives have issues with religious bodies because they don't understand artists. Artists need that freedom to express themselves. Music, writing, film, they need that freedom because art is truth. If you want to hear the truth, it's art. How did test views become popular? He will stand in the amphitheater and make fun of the emperor and make jokes and say a lot of things that has now become what we call satire now. He will say funny things. He will try to mimic the emperor. He will say truth that people are afraid to say. So artists have that calling, whether it is faith-based or not, to tell the truth that others will not speak. So you cannot now put that art under religion and put an embargo because of religion. You cannot put it under whatever you get. Let the artist be free. You get what I'm saying? So if the artist wants to make naked bodies everywhere, everybody has a room. If you want to make a faith-based project, make your faith-based. If you want to make a realistic project, make your realistic project. You get. I feel that is how it's supposed to be.
No, I mean that's really great. But let me ask you this: is there a major Heirloom currently is streaming online and all this kind of thing, and you've had the opportunity to interact with people that have seen Heirloom. I think that is also one of the catalysts for you to make the decision to make the next series. That means you take people's opinion to heart and all. Is there a big misconception you've heard about the story you told and you're like, hold up a minute, I didn't necessarily mean that?
Yeah, because art is subjective, it is open to different interpretations.
So you wouldn't call it a misconception?
Yeah, I wouldn't call it a misconception. You get. So what I do is I listen to all they are saying. If it is too far off, then I try to bring them back. But if it's not too far off, it's fine. Because I noticed, okay, for example, now when we had a screening at the Hive at the cinema the other day, a woman came to me. I was talking about the Caribbean heritage, the Caribbean beats. Yes, I did my research, but something she was saying, I could not understand what she was saying. But she was taking me too deep, making me feel like I went that deep. I was like, in my mind, I didn't really actually mean to go that deep, but she wanted to now know more about her roots because of Heirloom. I wouldn't stop that. That was not my intention, but I wouldn't stop her from doing that.
Yeah.
It's fine. If that's what she can pick from Heirloom, it's positive. I love it like that, you get. So I am not one to want to force my meaning. So I have already signified my meaning. It's not left for the audience to be able to now interpret it. So either they connote it or they denote whatever. It is left for them as long as it is not too far off from my intention. You get, because there's so many stories. There's so many stories woven into Heirloom. There's the Edward angle. There's the Marjorie angle. There's Irie. There's so many characters in it. There's the Osahan angle as well. There's so many characters in it that I cannot streamline the meaning to just one bit. So it's left for the audience to interpret.
Let's talk about Heirloom itself,
Yes.
on set, production itself. I mean, I was involved,
Yes.
we were shooting in -4, -5, and so it was really cold. Heirloom was, I don't know why you did that. It was like 80% exterior scenes, and we were outside shooting Nigerians. shooting outside. It was freezing. I mean, I experienced that. It didn't mean the set was toxic, It didn't mean that I was stressed from that. But it's not like, oh, it's a lot of stress from the other factors and all. So I mean, I know there are some, crazy things that happened, and if you can tell us one, and also tell us like maybe your biggest in life generally, like your biggest financial mistake you've ever made as a filmmaker.
I don't want to say heirloom, but let me start with my biggest financial mistake. Funny enough, it ended up not becoming a financial mistake because, let me say, in 2020, as a newlywed, I decided to spend all my money on making a short film in the middle of lockdown. We made the film in Ilorin. I flew my actors from Lagos, and I hired a vehicle to carry them convey them from Lagos to Ilorin and back. Spent so much money. The crew was close to 50, and we filmed. It was good, but I ended up being broke. My car engine got knocked during the production, and my wife was pregnant.
Oh wow.
Looking back now, I was very stupid, and my wife was very patient, because I don't know if I would be able to handle that myself. She was very patient, and then eventually the film was made. But because of the heavy losses I incurred, I was not too enthused about the film. Eventually, that film became the film that won the Best Short Film in Nigeria award at the Eco Film Festival. And that in my mind, that kind of like, okay, maybe it's not so bad at the end of the day. But that for me is like still my worst, in the sense that now that I look at it again in hindsight, maybe I shouldn't have done that.
Yeah.
Maybe I should have been more patient. And then Heirloom could have also been like that, but Heirloom, I don't know why, for whatever reason, I don't regret making Heirloom. Because it was self-funded. Well, I don't regret making Heirloom. Because of the kind of people that were on the set. I was very fortunate. They were amazing. People were amazing. And then also because of the ripple effect it has had, especially in West Midlands, and people connecting, and then other projects coming out from that. Maybe that also encouraged me that, okay, maybe I needed to do that, because in my mind, when I conceived the project, I could have waited for some more months, but I don't know why I just had this pressing to do it now, And I just put money together. I found somehow the money came about. I just made it. When I was supposed to go on set, I wasn't sure I had the money. I was just going by faith, like, okay, whatever happened. And that was why at some point I had issues with welfare and all, because I was like, oh God, who asked me to go and make this project? Because it became bigger than I thought. Even on set, everything was bigger than I thought. Oh, everything was more expensive than I thought. Oh, man, why did I push myself this far? But one thing about me is this: once I am on stage, there's no point. I can't go back.
Yeah.
Once you're on that stage, you can't go back. So instead of crying over not being on stage, you're on stage now. It's either you make the most of it, or you sink on stage. And since we're already on set, I was supposed to, when I checked the temperature forecast, the weather forecast, it was supposed to be that cold initially. But guess what? The sun was out the day before started filming, and the sun did not come out again until the day after we finished filming. So for that number of days, the sun refused to come out. As if the sun had a beef with me. The sun refused to come out. So because if the sun had come out, it would have been that terrible. But the sun refused to come out. So the weather on the days that we filmed were completely different from the forecast. That was one of the reasons. And then because we were already filming, there was no way we would stop filming.
Yeah.
And I was also very fortunate that my crew and cast were very understanding, because it would have been chaotic if somebody had started a mutiny and all. But everybody just dug in, and we just made sure that we finished the project. So would I do it again? No. In fact, I won't even try, because destiny has been threatening my life. I've been threatening me that don't even think you will do anything. I wouldn't try it again. I would rather wait till when it is warmer before I do it. So yes, I think I've answered the question.
Yeah, I mean, you definitely have. I mean, you being on sets, it was really freezing. It was really freezing, and I mean, we scaled through, and it was a really cool production and all. As an individual, I mean, from Nigeria, you had a lot of connections. So, you mentored a lot of people, and definitely, I'm sure that you have people that also mentored you,
Yes.
and there are also like people you are connected to, and all. But here in the UK, it felt like you stripped yourself away from that. Is there a particular reason why you did that, or is it a kind of decision that happened subconsciously? And yeah, basically.
Well, it was not conscious in that sense. It was not intentional. I think I needed that. I said when I came in, I needed to unlearn and then learn. And in place of unlearning, I had to be alone. I had to do it alone. So that by the time I come back, I will become a better person, a better filmmaker, and a better partner collaborator. I needed to be on my own in that sense, to find myself anew, because I feel that I was heavily reliant on my connections, relationships from back home, that when I got here, the first few months were a challenge. My first 6 months here were terrible. I didn't enjoy myself at all. It was terrible. So during that period, I found myself becoming more alone, but it also humbled me. It also made me realize the benefits of certain kinds of relationships. It's also helped me to become a better person when it comes to networking and meeting people and connecting. And like I said, having that open mind also helped me to do that. So I knew that, look, when you come here, it becomes a dog eat dog world. Do I want to become a dog that wants to eat another dog, or do I want to become somebody that lifts others? So if I lift somebody, that means I'm doing it without expecting anything in return. If there's a return in it, good. If there's nothing, fine. So I am not feeling entitled to good from anybody in that sense. So I connect, and people have also connected with me, and I have a gift. Right from when I was a kid, I've always been a hub. So once I connect to a person, somehow everybody connects through me. People connect to themselves through me. I've always had that, and even here it's continued as well. So somehow, even with all my shortcomings and my flaws, people just stick with me, so to say. Meaning that probably I do something's right, and people just want to be around me. When I make that call, they show up. That means I'm not such a bad person at the end of the day, and then they come around, and also it helps. It helps. So I think that's why. And then mentorship, yes. I have taught more people than I have mentored. If you get what I'm saying, people I have taught hundreds of them, but the people I have actually mentored, they're not as many as that, because mentorship requires that personal connection beyond the classroom, beyond
Yeah.
the teachings and all. And those I have actually mentored are growing in the industry in Nigeria, and some of them are actually here in the UK as well. And they were very pivotal to the success of Heirloom. No, they were very, very pivotal. Like the co-editor, one of the music guys, some of the cast members, crew members were people that I mentored right from Nigeria. So that also helped. That okay, maybe when I was doing that in Nigeria, I was actually sowing a seed that now is germinating and now reaping from that. Now you get. So right now, my focus is just building on what I have become now as a person. This is who I am now. I'm no longer afraid of who I am. I'm no longer afraid to show myself as myself, because there's no point deceiving anybody. This is who I am. This is my style. This is how I make my films. I have found my artistic voice.
Yeah. Yeah. I think that is very important to have your own voice,
Own voice, yeah.
and to have your own voice as an artist, as a creative, have your own voice, and that's very, very important. So I mean, let's wrap it up. As a person, is there like a certain words or things you live by every day? I mean, I think you've mentioned them bits by
Yes.
pieces. Maybe a certain quotes you live by every day that you feel like, okay, this is it. And if there's a particular controversial thing that everybody's far left, but you're far right about, what is that thing?
The sweet spot of life is in the middle. The sweet spot. It's not on the fence, but it's in the middle. in life, balance is everything. I'm somebody that sees life from a very particular perspective. I have been an extremist when it comes to faith and religion, almost a fanatic. At the same time, I have been somebody that has more or less lived as if there's no faith. I grew up in a house of moralists and not religious people. People that believed in doing good, not necessarily because it is church. So when I do good, I don't do good because, oh, I want to go to heaven or because of church. No, I do good because that is the right thing to do. So I believe that the right thing may not be a good thing to some people, but it is the right thing. Maybe I grew up as an idealist, but today I am a realist. So in my approach to things, I'm very pragmatic. Maybe that also explains why I can blend in with people from different places. Whether you are from Korea, you are from Nigeria, I don't care. I blend in with people because I'm very pragmatic. I understand that we are human beings. Even though you grew up in Ibadan, I grew up in Ilorin, doesn't mean that we see things the same way. Because even if you didn't Ilorin, like a popular artist would say, inside an Evian and that Evian they inside. Because even in Ilorin, I grew up in Songo, Kulende, and then moved to Tanke. They are two different places. Tanke is like abroad to those. Tanke was like abroad to us that grew up in Kulende. So I was so eager to move to Tanke. And when I moved to Tanke, I felt as if I was on top of the world because now I live in Tanke. So the realities are different. I understand that everybody has different realities. So I don't try to enforce my reality on somebody else. Instead, I try to share my perspective and allow the person interpret. So when people say, why do I believe in God, for instance? I don't believe in God because my pastor said God is real. I have had my personal encounter. I have heard his voice. So I can tell you that, yes, he is real. Maybe he has not appeared to me the way he has appeared to somebody else. Maybe I didn't see an angel with wings like people have been describing. Maybe it's a different encounter entirely, but I know that he is real. Do I believe that Jesus is real? Yes. Do I believe in other religions? No, because I've not had the encounter, but I've had encounter with the Jesus that I know, the one in the Bible. Am I making sense? So that has also inspired me in the sense that I don't believe there's anything called gospel music or gospel films. A film is a film. Music is music because somebody might just sing rubbish and put Jesus inside and they say it is gospel music. I don't believe in that. I believe music is music. So if it is good or not, it is in the content. That is the music and the lyrics. You can tell. If somebody is singing about a woman's bum, and then you know that you can't be playing this at some particular times of your life. You can't be listening to that. You can't be playing this to kids. You know. Don't have to believe in gospel or secular or whatnot. I don't believe in all those terminologies. It's just man-made terminologies. Music is music because when King David danced in the Bible and said, "Oh, David danced and whatever, and praise the Lord," nobody said he was dancing shoki or dancing hip hop. He was just dancing. You get what I'm saying? Before we were born, there has been music. After we are gone, there'll be music. There'll be film. There'll be stories. Stories used to be oral, then stage performances, then film. Now there's virtual reality. There's AI filmmaking. Stories will be told. You cannot box stories into one category. So allow for expression. I'm talking to myself. I allow myself express myself. So I could make a film on faith today. Tomorrow, a film on sex. Tomorrow, a film on heirloom. A film on politics. It is whatever I am inspired by that I go with. So I am learning to own my own voice because this is who I am. I have tried in the past to be like somebody else. Unfortunately, it did not work out that way because I am me. I am one of one. So I make my own films. For instance, now you like horror films, I know. I've only made one horror project in my life. I will never become another one because it's not my forte. It's not my major. But at that point in time, I was inspired to just make something horror. I did it, left it. Tomorrow, I'm making a film that is historical now. Tomorrow now, I could make a film that is about a heist, a different kind of film entirely. I allow myself to flow like that because I have the knowledge of different things. I'm talking to you now. I could be on a podcast talking about football because I know football that well. Even though people say I don't look like I know football, but I know football. I've been watching football, been documenting football since I was 4. At the World Cup in 1994, my uncles used to tease their friends that I could name Nigeria's first 11 plus the bench. I would name all the names, Thompson Oliha, Uchekechukwu, Uchokafo. I would name them and put crown tops and name them. I could name the old Arsenal squad in 1998 and the Man U squad. So I've always been a football person. I used to collect magazines, so I'm that I have that wide range of knowledge. You get, so I allow myself to just tell the stories that I need to tell at every particular point in time. You get, so now for me, it's about owning that voice, knowing who you are. Don't use labels. Understand life, understand God, understand faith, and know where you function in the whole scheme of things.
Wow, that's deep. That's really, really deep. Wow, thank you. I mean, this has been very insightful. This has been very educative too, and we have caught a glimpse about you. We've heard your voice about, where you're from and how that shaped your identity.
Yes.
I mean, you are like water. You flow
Exactly.
around.
Flow.
So which I feel like it really helps with your creativity, being a writer, being a director and all. So this is the last segment. We're just going to do a little game. It's called This or That.
Okay.
And it's very rapid. So you don't necessarily have time to think about it. You just answer, if that makes sense.
Yes.
Okay, cool. Writing or directing? Now you're thinking.
Writing. Writing.
Writing. Shooting in Nigeria or shooting in the UK?
Shooting in Nigeria.
Okay. Work with Kole Afolayan or Tunde Kilani?
Tunde Kilani.
Sony or Canon?
Sony or Canon? Sony.
Sony. I think I still have one more. Nobu or Israel?
Nobu Israel.
So there you have it.
Nobu Israel.
So thank you so much for coming to this space and being our first pilot. This is the first Voices by VEEU, and we definitely appreciate and want to say thank you for coming, for gracing us. I know for a fact that it's gonna get bigger and better from here, and it's just a space where filmmakers can just have conversations, talk about things without being in front of paparazzi or something like that. We can just talk about film, have conversations together, get to know you better as a person and not just as a filmmaker, and get your opinion on certain things. So that's it, everyone. Thank you so much for tuning in, and see you on the next one. Bye.
Thank you for having me. My Kogi people.
There you go.